Hey, Jonah Allen here. We're in my studio and gallery, and I'm really excited today to take you on a tour and a walkthrough of all the pieces here. One thing really fast before I get started is all the work is available for sale, and the way to collect the work, click the link in my bio on Instagram, and that's how you will see all the pricing, and you'll be able to see all the different works we have. So this will probably be about 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm just gonna give you kind of a story behind each piece. And so yeah, we'll get started right here. So the first piece is behind me. This is a grid of 12 by 12. So each piece is 12 by 12 inches, and there's 12 pieces in the grid. And so these are all aerial images I've shot from the air, either from drone or from helicopter. And what I really like about this grid is that it's all blues and greens, and it's all local to the Santa Rosa Beach area, to 30A. And so actually we're here, this gallery here we're inside right now is just off of 30A. It's my gallery, and I'm based in Northwest Florida. So would love for you to come visit sometime if you're ever in the area. But until then, we're gonna continue here and show you all the pieces here. But so each piece is actually available for sale individually, or it can be collected as a whole grid, or you can collect a couple different ones and mix and match. And that's what I love about these little 12 by 12s. And so they're all aerial photographs from this area. So moving on, I'm going to show you another piece here. It's actually one of my favorite pieces inside the gallery. So this piece is titled Outfall Number 69, and I made this image from a helicopter. And so what you're actually looking at is a coastal dune lake, except the lake water is actually not flowing out, but the Gulf water has flowed in. And so it's a really rare phenomenon, and this one is specifically Western Lake. And so for the last 4 years, I've actually been working on a photo book that I'm really excited to publish in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. The title of the book is called Where Waters Meet, and this is actually going to be the cover of the book, which will be about 13 by 19 inches. But this image is just the colors of the Gulf this particular day are just absolutely incredible. And the phenomenon, it's so rare for the Gulf water to flow into the lakes. It only really happens maybe like less than 10 days a year, and so it was just really cool that I got to capture it. And this piece is definitely a favorite among many, and that's why it's the cover of the book. And so I do edition to 12, so I only make 12 of each piece, each large scale piece. The small ones are open edition, but these ones which are larger, I only make 12. And so this is edition number 4 of 12, so 3 have already been sold. Moving on, this piece is titled Outfall Number 68. And this is the only piece in the gallery that doesn't have a frame. I really like all the work to be framed. I really like the types of frames these are. They're a white floater frame. I just really think they make the work present nicely, and it gives it contrast against white walls or whatever type of wall there is. But I also like unframed. It's really kind of a preference. But this one is also a coastal dune lake. This one's Eastern Lake. And I actually made this image with a drone, and it's comprised of actually 100 different images combined together. So it's a really high resolution file, so you can see like all these little details in it. And again, this image, I love the color. And all the images here in this section, it's really all about the color. It's a kind of aquamarine turquoise color. So moving on to this piece right here. This piece is titled Peak Number 55, and it's honestly, I have a lot of favorite images, a lot of favorite pieces, but this one is definitely in my top 5 favorites. All the images I make, they're usually premeditated, where I see it in my head and I want to make a specific image that I have an idea of, and that was the case for this one. And in order to make this image, and to make a lot of these images, I'm waiting for all these elements to align. I'm waiting for the tide, the wind direction, the wind speed, the swell direction, the swell size, the light, the water clarity, and so on and so forth. And so this particular image was made in the winter of last year, and I'm just capturing this wave cresting at the perfect moment. And the contrast with the sky is really cool as well, because it was kind of sunny but kind of cloudy, so it's bright, but it's also not too bright. And that's what I love about this image. It's really powerful, and it really speaks to this area. It speaks to 38, it speaks to this iconic Emerald Coast. and the water that we have here that so many people resonate with. So again, it's one of my favorite images. This one's titled Peak Number 55. And so moving on, I'm gonna take you guys this way to the gallery. So these three pieces here, when I was grouping everything in the gallery, I wanted to kind of group things by subject matter and by color. And so these three pieces all have pink hues. They all have these like blush kind of tones, these natural tones. And the reason is the white sand is reflecting this really pink kind of orangish light that was made, or that was captured right at sunrise. And so this piece titled Refraction Number 14, it's kind of one of those, it kind of captures the Emerald Coast, the like quintessential moment where you have the white sand with the ocean and the sky. And so the tidal refraction means, refraction is when a wave bends due to the difference in kind of contours at the bottom. And so what's happening in this image is this wave is bending around the sandbar, and I just love how the wave is in the frame, and you have these three layers. It's almost like a perfect third. So you have a solid state of matter, then liquid, and then sky. And kind of I love that concept of those three elements kind of combining together. This specific piece titled Veins of Sand Number 8, it's definitely has tended to be what people gravitate towards when they come to the gallery. It's just such an interesting composition, such a just incredibly unique image. It's abstract. You don't quite know what the scale of it is. You don't quite know what's going on. I think that's what makes this image really interesting, is it's kind of confusing, but it's really beautiful. And so you don't know the scale. It could be aerial, could be from 1,000 feet up, but it also could be from just the sand height, you know, a couple feet. And so it is actually only shot from about this high. And a lot of people have said this image has looked like different things, and it's just so interesting to hear everyone's view on it and how everyone sees something different. And so these two pieces are 50 by 34 inches. They're kind of like medium-sized pieces, and you know, most of the work in the gallery is quite large, excluding the ones I started with. Speaking of large, this is the largest piece in the gallery here, this next piece, and so this piece is titled Receded Time Number 1, and all these images you just saw, these first two of the pinks, they're part of this series I call Receded Time. And the concept behind the series is that sand is a medium that leaves a visual trace of what's come before you. And so what I mean by that is, like, every time you go to the beach, you see footprints, you see sand patterns, and it's evidence of what's occurred in the past. And so in photography, a photo is just one moment in time. It's just, you know, a really small moment of time. And so it's really hard to show the passage of time in a photograph or indication of the passage of time. And so this series is really interesting to me because, you know, sand, it shows you what has happened in the past. And so you're capturing history that's available in a single moment. It's also kind of a play on the metaphor of sands of time. You know, an hourglass filled with sand is a metaphor for time. So this series is kind of an exploration of that metaphor and that idea. And this was actually the first image in that series. It was the first one I made, and it's kind of what kind of started the whole series. And I've actually made this image even bigger, right? This one's 87 by 51 inches, but I've actually made one for a client that's 11 feet wide by like 6 feet tall. Yeah, I loved all the detail on this one. So the next part of the gallery I'd like to show you are my favorite wall in the gallery. When I was making the gallery, I wanted to have one single wall that just had really large scale pieces of the ocean that made you feel like you were immersed in the sea. And so that's where I'm going to take you guys now. And so all these next like 5 images are part of my peak series. They're focusing on the relationship between water and light, and just kind of capturing these beautiful moments in the Emerald Coast and the waves. And so to make these images, I'm immersed in the water with a camera, and the camera is inside a housing. And so that way I'm able to control the camera with the housing, the back of the housing. And I'm swimming, so I'm not surfing. I've got flippers, and I'm just kind of wading in the water, just waiting for all these elements to kind of combine. And honestly, like, these images are some of my favorite ones to make because I'm immersed in the ocean, and it's almost like therapy for me. And so when I make these images, the goal is to kind of take you into that moment, and so you can feel the same emotion that I felt when I was in the ocean, to feel that that peaceful feeling, or that calmness, that serenity. And so this one, titled Peak Number 53, what I love about this image is like the painterly quality. To me, it almost looks like a painting. And for me, that's like, people have actually said it's painterly, it looks like a painting, but for me, that's like one of the highest compliments you can give a photograph, because painting, came before photography in the context of art. And so if a photograph can look like a painting, to me, that is just, it's a really great achievement. And so this image is just so serene and so calm, and it really captures that calmness of the ocean. This next one, I'm really excited to share with you. This runs brand new into the gallery. It's titled Peak Number 90, and similarly to the previous one, it is an image that just evokes just pure serenity, pure peace. It was made this past summer on the Gulf Coast, in Seagrove specifically, and there's a lot of negative space, there's a lot of openness, and it's just, you see this little detail, this wave forming, and a little bit of clouds, and it's just so open and so soothing to me. So all the pieces here on the large wall, they're each 72 by 48 inches, but with the frame, they're 74 by 50 inches. The next one I'm going to show you was living right here, but actually I've run out of gallery space, and so it's right here. This one is titled Peak Number 44, and so in contrast to the prior 2 images and the pieces I just showed you, the ocean can have a lot of different personalities. On one hand, it can be calm, but it can also be violent and stormy and ominous. And so this image is kind of seeking to capture that kind of ominous breaking wave. And what I love about this image and all the images of the Peak series of the waves is you really get to see the highlights and the shadows and the different values. And I just love the little highlights on this one, where it's mostly dark, but you just get these cool little moments of light reflecting off of the wave. Yeah, this one, super, super special. The next one I'm going to show you guys is titled Sea Study Number 30. So similarly, or to the past image, this one is also seeking to capture that kind of ominous or that stormy feeling, like you're immersed in the ocean on a stormy day. And most of the images here in the gallery were made in Seagrove Beach, Florida. That's right by my house. But this one was taken at Grayton Beach on a stormy summer day. And what makes this image really special is you just have like this line of light throughout the image. So it's kind of like light in the darkness. And I just love how when you get up really close to it, you can kind of see all the different little details, all those subtleties that were light reflecting. The next piece I'd like to show you guys is titled Peak Number 42. And I know I've said this already, but I have a lot of favorite images. These images are all really special to me, but this one especially in particular, it's really special to me. it's definitely in the top 5 of my favorites, maybe even my favorite image I've ever made. And what I love about this image is that you can see all the different contours of this wave, the highlights, the shadows, all these different values. And it's just, to me, this composition is really strong. And most of the images I make are in color, but I wanted to make this one black and white because color can be distracting from the composition. And so this one, the composition is so strong, I made it black and white, so you can just focus on what's going on in the image instead of being distracted by color. And this one's slightly larger than the other ones. It's 79 by 52 inches, and it has a little bit larger of a frame, about an inch frame versus the half frame. So, you know, people like different size frames, my clients and collectors. So this one, I just wanted to show you kind of the larger frame, what it looks like. But personally, I prefer a bit of a smaller frame, but you know, when a piece is this large, I still think it looks great with this size frame. Yeah, so the next part of the gallery I'd like to show you, I'm going to show you a cousin of that image. So this is a vertical piece, a vertical wave, titled Peak number 38. And what makes this image really special to me, really strong, is that I've captured the wave at the perfect cresting moment, like the decisive moment where this wave is just bending and refracting and wrapping around the sandbar. And what I love about waves, what makes them so captivating, is the way they reflect light when they start to curl. All the light, you know, just starts to play on each other, and they reflect in these really cool waves, bending, and this image is just, I remember when I made it, it was fall of last year, it was November actually, probably about, yeah, exactly a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. But I remember I was in the water, the water housing, and when you're photographing in the water, there's so much going on, you really don't get to see the image. It's hard to see the image because you're just focusing on the water. And when I saw the thumbnail of the image, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I got that, please God, please let me know that I got that. Like I had to have made that image, because what I just saw with my eyes, if I got that, that's going to be one of the best images I've ever made. And I'm really thankful that I did get it. So that's this one, Peak number 38. And so this is 48 by 64 inches, but it comes out to 50 by 66 inches with the frame. The next image I'd like to show you, again, this one is really special to me. It's my top 5 images I've ever made. It's called Veins of Sand number 1, and it's a kind of continuation of that series I told you about sand and how it leaves a trace of what's come before you. You can see history, you can see the past in sand. And this image is actually one of my most sold ones. It has been collected 6 times, so it's edition number 6 of 12, and it's 48 by 64 inches, by 50 by 66 with the frame. And yeah, this image is just, it kind of really catapulted this series in a direction that I think is really strong. And it's abstract, this image. You don't quite know the scale. And this is the ocean actually in the top part of the image. But what's crazy to me about this image is that these lines of sand, these sand patterns, are just leading concentrically to this one point. And it's just kind of crazy how that occurred naturally in nature. You know, I didn't do anything to this image. I didn't make the sand formed, and I just happened to find this perfect moment. So moving on, similarly, these next 2 pieces, they're part of that series, the Veins of Sand series, or Receded Time. And so these 2 images are actually the exact same composition at different times. So it's the same exact patch of sand, but this one was made in the morning when the water was flowing out, and this one was made later in the morning after the water had already flowed in. And so these 2, I just love them together because you see the contrast of how one piece of sand, one moment, can look so different at different times, at different, you know, tides, different light, different water. And this one in particular, Veins of Sand number 7, this one is, again, one of my most sold images, one of the most collected. It's on edition number 6, so it's been collected 6 or 5 times. And the water clarity on this day, it was just absolutely insane. And You see the sugar white sand, and it's almost, for me, this image, it almost, sometimes it's hard for me to believe I made it, because I just think it's so powerful. The next two images I'd like to show you are, again, part of my peak series, focusing on that peak moment of anticipation of waves. And so this one is titled Peak Number 36. And I made this image a couple years ago. It was October. And this image it could never be made in the summertime because of the angle of the sun. So I love this image because I captured this wave cresting right as the sun was setting behind it. And it's just, that can only happen in the fall. It's literally impossible to happen any other time. And so I just think that image is really strong. These two pieces are a little bit smaller. They're kind of my medium-sized pieces. These ones are 40 by 40 inches, but 42 inches with the frame. And yeah, this one, again, such a strong image. A lot of negative space. It's got a lot of openness, but in the center of the frame you have this beautiful wave just breaking, and you see all these little details, all these little rays of light and all. Oh, you can see right there. So the next image I'm going to show you guys, again, I've run out of space in the gallery, but this is a new image titled Peak Number 88, and this one is actually already sold. This one is a custom piece I made for a client of mine, or collectors of mine. It's going to be installed tomorrow in Alice Beach. And I made this image in the summertime. And this image is a little bit different from my other wave ones in that it's really bright. And instead of focusing on capturing kind of the contours of the wave, I really wanted to capture the beauty of the color of the emerald water with the blue sky. And it was made probably around 11 a.m., kind of later in the morning. Yeah, this one is 36 by 36 inches. And I wanted to, the reason why I'm showing you this image is because I wanted to let you know that I do custom sizes. So I work one-on-one with my clients and collectors via appointment. So you can book an appointment to come in the gallery, or we can book a virtual phone call, and we can kind of talk one-on-one to see what pieces of art would be best for your space. And I also make renderings in that process, where you send me a photo of your space and I can make you a custom rendering. So that is Peak Number 88. So we're going to take a little, just a quick little break right here. And in this break, feel free to get some water. I'm going to go grab a glass of water. But in this break, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them in the chat here. And after the break, about a minute or so, I'm going to show you my last small pieces that I have in the gallery here. We're just going to take a quick break here for about 1 minute or so. We got to get one thing set up here. All right, bear with us for just a moment. All right. There we go. So if you have any questions about the work, about my process, about anything, feel free to ask them here in the chat. Hey Barbara, how's it going? Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm really excited to share with you a coffee table book very soon. I've finished it, and this coffee table book is going to be about a little bit bigger than this one right here, 13 by 19. And I spent 4 years shooting aerial photographs from a helicopter and drone of the Emerald Coast, of 38 specifically. And so, I took over 50 50,000 images, and I narrowed those 50,000 images down to about 280 images that are going to be in the book, and it's going to be about 330 pages long. And I'm just so excited to share it with you because I've put my heart and soul to it, you know, over the course of 4 years. But not only that, it's an adventure, it's a journey up into the air to see 30A from above, to see it from a perspective that you've probably never seen it from before. And it's just, it really, you know, this area is absolutely gorgeous from the ground, but when you get to see it from the air, it's even more beautiful, I think. So,
when is the book coming out?
That's a great question. So yeah, I'm self-publishing the book. So I have actually finished the design process. It's done and is about to be sent off to print. And so I don't quite have the timeline yet, but I am going to be releasing a pre-sale pretty soon, within probably 1 month. And so you'll be able to purchase the book in a month. And it'd be really helpful for me if you purchase it during the pre-sale, because I don't have a publisher. I'm self-funding this entirely. So it's going to be really helpful for me to be able to make the project a reality by selling it before I actually have it here inside the gallery. But it's looking like the timeline's going to be January, when the book will actually be ready here to pick up or ship from the gallery. So the last part of this art show, I want to show you a couple of small pieces that I have kind of floating around. And I don't really do small pieces. Well, I do small pieces. I just don't have that many in the gallery because I really large scale. And so here's a couple of small ones that I'm really excited to share with you. So this one is titled Converge, and it's a really kind of dynamic and powerful image. I made this image when I was in Indonesia, and I was actually shot it from a cliff. It's an aerial image, it looks like, but I actually shot it from a cliff, and I literally risked my life to make this image, which I don't regret because it's very, very powerful, and it's so dynamic and so much is going on. In the next two images I'm going to show you, the next two pieces, were shot from the same place on the same day. And this one is, it's a matte acrylic image, so it's a photographic paper print sandwiched between metal and a matte acrylic. So there's no reflection, and it's frameless, but it is ready to hang. Just like all the pieces in the gallery, they are ready to hang, ready to go. And if you just stand by for just a moment, I'm going to show you two other images, two other pieces. This next image is part of that Indonesian shore series, and this one is, I think, so powerful. It's so serene. Made it from that cliff in Indonesia of these two people, this couple walking on the beach. And what I love about this image is that the people provide scale. Most of the time I actually don't like to photograph people in my images, but in this specific image, I really think it makes the image so powerful because it gives you scale, and it just provides some context in this kind of this scene. And I also love how you can see these little footprints here. It's a really, really strong image to me, really powerful. And so what's cool about these is they can be collected together. They kind of look good together, similar color palettes, similar ocean. And then I'm actually going to show you one more from this series in just a moment. This one again is from that series of the Indonesian shores, made from that cliff. And yeah, this one is really powerful. This one's titled Indonesian Shore Number 1.
We have a question about the glossy or matte?
There are options. These are mostly everything in the gallery is a matte finish, and the reason is it cuts reflections. It allows for no reflections, but there is an option for glossy or matte, and I'll actually show you right now. I'm going to show you the glossy finish. So everything, again, in the gallery is matte finish to cut reflections. You don't see any reflections, but this specific image is glossy. It's a glossy acrylic. So you can see slight reflections on it, but most of the time you don't see any reflection on it. It really just depends on the context of the house and the natural light in the space. But most of the time, to play it safe, I like to go with the matte finish to keep it from getting reflections. So something else I'd like to tell you guys about. Really, really excited to share this with you guys. It's something I've been working on for a little bit. So in just a few days, I'm releasing some different merchandise. And the first one that I'm really excited to share is a calendar for next year, a 2022 calendar. And so I don't have the calendar with me right now, but the calendar is going to be about this tall when it's open, so about 12 inches wide, about 17 inches tall. And so it'll have a cover image, and then it'll have one photo on top, and then each month. And so that will be released in the next few days. Really excited to share that. And then I can't quite share with you what's coming after that, but there's some other things as well that are going to come before the holidays that I'm really excited to share. And they're just the items that have are lower price points, because all my large work's quite up there. It's quite expensive. So I wanted to create some different things that anybody can have for the holiday season. It can be great gifts, can be great different things. So thanks everybody for tuning in for this live art show. Some closing remarks are just, if you're interested in collecting a piece, you can actually, after this, go to the link in my bio, and all of the work is there all in the link in my bio. On that page, you can actually see the pricing and all the information about that. And you can actually purchase it right there via the link in my bio. But if you're not quite sure about a piece, you're not sure how it's going to look in your home, or you just have some more questions, feel free to book an appointment with me. We can do it virtually over the computer, or you can come to the gallery, you can see the work in person, we can talk through it. And in the appointment process, I make renderings for all my clients and collectors. So basically, where you take a photo with your smartphone, and you send it to me and my team, and we will augment the art in your space and give you a few different options based on your preferences. So that way you can see exactly what the art will actually look like in your space. And I really love doing this because it allows you to know exactly what it's going to look like in your space. And sometimes people actually end up choosing a piece that they didn't think they were going to choose. They end up going with not their initial first choice because it looks different in the space than they thought it would. So if you guys have any more questions, I'm sticking around here. I'll wait around here for a few minutes, and then we'll call it a day.